calling phase of the Zinzino launch here in the UK. We're talking about really a revolution in the whole way that people can manage their own lifestyles. And something that's, well, I guess in many ways quite obvious because we all recognize the need for it, but actually most of us don't recognize how important this is. What we're going to talk about tonight particularly is. And those of you who've been invited have done, the person who's invited you has done so because they're excited about the potential for what Zinzino is doing, because we're in a revolutionary phase of change. From many points of view, in many ways, this is a confluence of opportunity, potential, real change, specifically because the coronavirus has shaken people to think about their health in particular, potentially, and probably quite shockingly, they're also their way of life, because so many who've been on furlough, as it's called, in other words, sort of on a holiday from what they do during the day generally, are kind of thinking to themselves, well, you know, is this the way I want to lead my life? And the person who invited you as a guest onto this call has made a decision to partner with Zinzino to help people change, not just their wealth and their health, but their health as well. So what I'm going to share with you is potentially why they've done that, why they think you might be someone to invite to participate, and what the benefits of actually doing that are. So without further ado, what I'm going to cover tonight is aimed at you as someone of influence that they consider they'd like to work with. You know, this is a phase of development that we're going through right now with Zinzino launching into the UK. It's like any company launch, ultimately, it's setting the groundwork for the platform on which it's going to develop over the next many years, as you will see. Zinzino's ambitions aren't short-term, they're very long-term with a goal set that's actually very long range in terms of thinking. So if you've been invited, then you're seen by the person who invited you as an entrepreneur, someone who's willing and open-minded to look at what we have, and as a potential business partner who could take advantage of this year's launch of Zinzino into the UK, which actually has officially just happened because we've now moved into a local sterling price list. We have a separate legal entity here in terms of Zinzino UK Limited. So it's a UK-based company as a subsidiary of Zinzino itself. So whilst we may have done that technically, we're still really in the launch phase in terms of physically. And I guess that's as important as anything else, because none of us can really get together in the way that we'd originally envisaged this to happen. That will, of course, happen at some stage as lockdown comes off and we all get to go out and see each other again. But virtually, we've been launching this business over the last year or so, and that's been really exciting, and we're seeing real progression. They're also seeking, that person who invited you is seeking key partners to help build that platform. This is what I call the early adopter phase. It's that period of time where we're communicating a new idea, new ideas, new concepts in a way which in many cases, people kind of just dismiss it, but ultimately over time it changes thinking. And this is the ground floor right now in terms of two things. One, in relation to the product we're sharing with people, which you'll see a bit more of in a minute, but also this business method that we use is very misunderstood. I've been in and around it for a very long time, nearly 30 years, in fact. And I've seen it come from a sort of adolescent phase. Now it's beginning to mature, and Zinzino is changing the way the industry works in terms of how it's perceived and what it delivers for us as partners, and for those of us also who've become customers. So, beg your pardon. Those who want to take part right now, well, you're going to access some help and support that's not normally available. The company, I mentioned the word strategic earlier, and Zinzino has a very strategic way of viewing the markets into which it goes. UK is one of those key markets for it. It's an advanced, wealthy market which sees the potential for what we have and offers great opportunity, not just from the perspective of a business opportunity, and the revenue that can be generated, but also from the personal outcomes that come as a consequence of this. And it's potentially here for us in the UK, it's the foundation for a global business. And that's the way I have viewed this. I do view this. Indeed, Sue and I as a partnership, we're husband and wife, yes, but we're also business partners. We are developing business already throughout countries in which Zinzino already trades, such as Canada, the US, Australia, all through the European Union. And of course, us as Brits is now semi-detached from Europe, soon to become a completely independent nation again. So this, however, doesn't stop our global view. And that's what we've got, potentially from a business perspective. So this initial timescale was always conceived to be the end of May, and that's pretty much where it's ended up. The company launched the UK price list, the new company itself, the Zinzino UK, this month, and that's the platform for the beginning of development here. So who is Zinzino? Perhaps I should explain a little bit. Well, Zinzino is actually a 15-year-old company. For the last 10 years, it's been a public company on the NASDAQ. That means that it's open to scrutiny financially. There's a huge potential globally for us. We currently trade in markets with around about 1 billion people. And as you see there, it says 950 million of them are not in balance. That will become clearer as I go through my explanation tonight as to what that really genuinely means. Suffice to say, there's opportunity for us in pretty much every market, in every country, throughout the world. The ones in which we trade right now is around about 1 billion people. Very shortly to open is Hong Kong and India. Now, India itself has 1.3, 1.4 billion people in it. So we pretty much double our market potential. Hong Kong leads into China, and there's another 1.3 billion there or thereabouts. So we're pretty much tripling the potential marketplace for ourselves. One thing that's wrong on here is Australia is not showing as open. It's not blue, but it should be, because it too is open now, available for us to develop business there. So the model we use is all about personal connections. It's a personal referral business, direct sales business. This is about who you know as much as what you know. But this is a business that does not trade through retail outlets or through the standard distribution model you see in many other businesses out there. And actually, during this lockdown, has been extremely successful for us, because we have this direct to market process through the website that helps to give people easy access to what we actually supply. We're members of the Direct Selling Association. We have double-digit sales growth across the board. Average, I think, has been 34% every year over the last 10 years. It's continuing now. In fact, during lockdown, again, it's increased. In the UK, I know alone since the beginning of this year, the UK market has grown by 400%. So we're seeing stellar growth for a number of reasons. One is because the product has a place. Two is it does something that's very different to what appears to be competitive. And three is this change in perception about how important ownership of your own health actually is. Four, as a kind of addition to that, is the fact that there's an opportunity here for people to start to control their own lives in terms of their income and the things that they have in their lives, which is not dependent on someone else dictating what they do. So this is not an employer-employee relationship. This is independence in a way which allows you to create your own income and your own destiny. It's a very strong financial foundation as well. The company's debt-free, it's cash positive. There are lots of things going for it in terms of its financial strength. You can check all that because every year since 2010, the company has published quarterly reports, ultimately yearly annual reports, audited. So you can see the growth that the company's had and its financial strength. From a business perspective, that makes this an extremely solid potential. Here is an illustration of growing fast. As you can see, spike up 2018-19. I changed these figures originally from the euro numbers into the UK pound numbers. We will go the company will go probably north of 100 million pounds this year. In global terms, in the market we're actually in, That's a small company. However, it's big enough with the track record that's sufficient quality and profitability to prove that it's not going anywhere. It's going to go on succeeding in terms of what it does. And that, I think, is very important as someone looking at this in business terms as a potential for you to recognize that this is not a poor bet. You know, the track record is such that it's showing that the company knows what it's doing, how it should be done, and actually in the market in which we actually operate is best practice, full stop. It's way more sophisticated and well organized than any other networking company that I've actually come across. And I hope I'll convey some of that during the rest of the presentation. So what is this balance thing that we're talking about? 95% of us out of balance. Well, excuse me, we're talking about something fundamental to good health. Every cell in your body is affected by what Zinzino does in terms of its balance oil product. And it's built on a very simple premise. And that is that there are two essential fats that we have to have in our diets because your body doesn't make them. So you've got to bring it in within your diet. And unfortunately, the diets that we have now are significantly out of balance. Modern diet is dominant in omega-6 and too short on omega-3. So there's this imbalance between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids. Why is that important? Well, the two together are both sides of a seesaw and they should be balanced. The problem is with too much omega-6, it opens the pathway to inflammation. And inflammation is implicated in virtually every chronic disease you can mention. Heart disease, diabetes, asthma, arthritis, you name it. They're all included because the body is inflamed in some way or another. So the thesis is quite simple, which is that if you bring the two back into balance, then the likelihood is that the inflammation factors in your system are going to diminish, and therefore your inflammation within your body is similarly going to diminish. And that's exactly what we find as people get their omega-3, omega-6 back into balance. So what that means is really, without being aware of it, the vast majority of us are consuming way too much omega-6 because it's in all these processed foods. It's pretty much dominant in the diet that we have. You know, meat is omega-6. If you buy processed foods, they're all rich in omega-6. The only things rich in omega-3 are those that we focus upon in terms of oily fish. And if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, then in nuts and seeds, most of which are in forms that are actually very difficult for the body to assimilate. So here we are with unknowingly this balance, which is out, significantly out, as it turns out, as I'm going to show you in a moment. So let me just talk very technically briefly. The whole thing about omega-3 and omega-6 is at the cellular level, the membrane, the thing that wraps up the cell itself, is the wrong balance of 6 and 3. Now, 6 has a long chain tail on it. And if there's too much 6 in the membrane, then it's packed too tightly together. It makes the membrane brittle and hard. And with the right balance of omega-3, it has a much softer, more permeable and malleable membrane, which means it stretches and it's capable of absorbing things. So you get the things in that need to come in, and you get the things out that need to go out. So the healthy cell is one that's properly balanced. The vast majority, at least 95% of us, are so far out of balance, it significantly opens the door to the potential for poor health. And that's the key here. We need to bring people back to balance. So Zinzino created the balance oil. What's the balance oil? It's very simple in concept. It's actually quite difficult to deliver in practice. Came up with the balance oil, which is protected by olive oil oxidation, because if you buy a pure fish oil, what happens to it is it denatures really quickly. So you can sometimes taste it if you're using a supplement, and it repeats on you, and it's not all that pleasant. And that's because the fish oil is not protected sufficiently for it to get into your system to become usable. So in practical terms, from my own point of view, for example, I was an omega-3 supplement user for many years. in fact, decades. And I thought that was doing the right thing because I'm not a great fish lover, so I don't eat a lot of it. I was aware that I was probably going to be out of balance. Consequently, I chose to buy an omega-3 supplement because I recognized the reason for doing so. What I didn't realize is that, you know, you've got to consume an awful lot of fish oil to get sufficient of it through into your system that actually can be used properly. And I wasn't, as it turns out, consuming enough. And part of that's down to the fact it's not formulated correctly. A pure fish oil doesn't get into your system. And I was one of those. So when I got asked a very simple question, which is, how do you know, firstly, are you an omega-3 supplement taker? Which I had to say yes, because I was. And then the secondary question was, well, how do you know it works? And my answer to that was, well, I don't. So that brought about this idea of the test, which Zinzino has pioneered. So not only has Zinzino got a product that works, it's prepared to back it with the test to prove it. And this is the game changer for the whole of our marketplace, is people who are already omega-3 supplement users, as I was, are still likely to be out of balance without being aware of it. So I, as someone who was aware of it, aware in the sense that A, I was taking it, but B, I was also aware of the need for it, I decided to take the test. Bear with me, that's my phone. And let me cut it off. See, it happens. So where we go from here is that Zinzino worked out the fact that how to deliver it. It's got a dose based on the weight of the individual, because also that's important. It actually tastes all right. In other words, it doesn't repeat on you in the way that fish oils generally do. And it's comprehensively approved for for health claims by the EFSA, European Food Safety Authority, and the FDA, Federal Drug Administration in the US. Why? Because there's so much research out there in relation to what omegas generally do to your body, that they know the impact. It's well researched, the impact on the body and what it is in relation to the fact if you have it or you don't have enough. So here we are, early May, over 490,000 tests. So statistically, this sample is accurate. It's accurate. We can draw many inferences from it, and these are the results. Before tests, only 5% of Europeans have a ratio of 3 to 1 or better. 3 omega-6, 1 omega-3. 20% that take up supplements, like I did, have an average of 71. However, in my case, mine was 14.4 to 1. So either the supplement I was taking wasn't good enough, or I simply wasn't taking enough of it. And never anywhere on any label I ever had said, take it based on body weight, and these are the number you need in order to do that. Maybe that's changing now, but certainly it wasn't on any of the supplements I was taking up to that point. So I was firmly in the group that actually was significantly out of balance. And not in that 20% group. 75% that don't take, and I would count myself in this group now, had 15 to 1 or more. Well, I was very close to the 15. However, after the second test, 95% of people who use the balance oil take the product for 4 months, 120 days, are back in balance. Now, I took my test a little bit later than that. It's actually about 5 months after I'd taken the first test, at which I was 14.4 to 1. I took the second test, and I was down to exactly 2 to 1. So I was back to balance with the product that is now validated by test. And we know that these tests are independently done by Vitas Analytical Services, attached to Oslo University. They are suppliers of analytical services to all sorts of world bodies, World Anti-Doping, the World Health Organization, many academic bodies as well, like Oxford University, Yale and Harvard. They rely on the accuracy of their results. Zinzino does not do the testing. The testing is anonymous, so it's just based on a number, so they don't know who you are. They have no idea whether you should be or otherwise in balance, and so it's a completely blind test. So Zinzino is a proven success. In other words, we know that the test itself works, it's independent, and it proves the efficacy of the product. And the product itself is formulated in a way like no one else does. So we've got something that sells. That's part of the point. This is, you know, for you as someone being asked to look at this as a business potential, that's an important point, I think, in a way which is key to whether people decide to partner with us or not, because we're not one of the herd here. We're not just a Me Too product. This is something that's very different, disrupting the way this market actually works. Over 490,000 have now independently been tested. We have the world's largest database of omega-6/3 results, and that's climbing every single month. So this data set's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there are over 230,000 people out there on a monthly subscription having decided to take this product and continue to. I'm one of those. I will continue to for the rest of my life. Millions of bottles have already been consumed, and quite frankly, it's likely that many, many millions more will be as well. So why choose Zinzino? Well, it's because customers get on the product, they like the product, they're very happy to share a good idea and something that benefits them personally with others. And Zinzino created a unique way of helping people to share that idea by suggesting that as a customer, you share it with a few others, and those others can who can decide to become customers themselves. If you find 4 of those as a customer, then your product is free. So here we're tapping into this idea, excuse me, of people sharing a good thing with other people, friends and family and so on. And that means that we get a higher percentage retention rate. And at the end of the day, this is exactly what you want. You want subscription income. People want, I want subscription income because it means a more solid income. It continues month in, month out. And that retention means that you're actually only doing the job once when you share this with the person who decides to become a customer. They then are continuing to buy on a regular basis. So you're being rewarded again and again and again. A bit like writing a song and creating and collecting the royalties on it. Excuse me, 31,000 people, monthly subscriptions are currently free. And there's the customer money back results guarantee. What does that mean? Well, if you decide to become a subscriber for the product, you take the test along with your subscription, and the test comes back and shows you're already in balance. You have the option to get your money back on the basis of the subscription you've already signed for. My own experience in those cases, and they're very few, as you know, that statistically it's likely to be one out of 20 people, and the vast majority of those decide to go on with the Zinzino product. Why? Because they know it's going to work, because of the test, and also because they can that they actually get a proven result, and the product is priced in such a way as to be actually not expensive by comparison with a lot of other pure fish oils. So with publicly full transparency, it's young, it's dynamic, it's energetic. It's also always looking for the development that enhances what we do. It's servant-led. In other words, it's not just looking at the enhancement and the disruption of the existing market. It's also looking to how it can improve the service to its customers and us as partners. And it actively encourages and supports entrepreneurship. That's what we all are. And those of you invited on the call are also seen as entrepreneurs. This is setting up a playing field on which people who want to thrive and create something for themselves in terms of their own business, their own potential income. This is setting the scene for that in a very simple and low-cost way. And it's much a family community is living and inspiring people to change. And at the risk of sounding, it's fun. This is an enjoyable business to be in as you start to see the progression that you and your partners actually make. So why choose the company? Well, it's got a culture that's designed to support its partners as much as it is the company. And this is something that the company itself has built into its own culture, that this is not the business, the company, and then the partnership responsible for sales. This is much more a team effort in terms of the synergy between the two creates more than the sum of its parts, and that's a key thing in this industry overall. You know, everyone's pushing towards the same sorts of goals. There's a Z for free program, which is the money back, and for customers allows you to get your own product free. That's also true for partners. There's the CAR program. There is training, mentoring, and personal development, the like of which I've never seen in any other networking company I've been involved in or I have looked at. And it's focused very heavily on mobile technology and apps to support our business effort. And I'll cover that in a bit more detail in a minute. This really is potentially a business for everyone. You see other networking companies, MLMs, that you may have been exposed to. It probably gives you a bit of a misunderstanding of what this networking industry is really about, because so many of them focus on plundering this existing market. You know, they're looking to steal people from other networks to bring them into their own. Zinzino simply doesn't do that. It's focused upon customers in the main, so partners finding customers, and on new people coming into the network and as customers. We're not really focused on other networks and plundering those. New thinking, customer-focused program. The average is 25 customers or thereabouts for every single partner. Again, I don't know of any other networks that give that level of emphasis to customers. This is very much customer-focused as a business. Simple, social, fun, anyone could do it. And it has a mass market appeal. Everyone needs it, they just don't know it yet. Why is that? Well, of all the supplements in all the world, you've heard that phrase before in some way, then omega-3 supplements are the largest of all the other supplementation. In fact, the omega-3 market matches everything else put together. So it is the biggest supplement market in the world, bar none. And it's growing across the globe at about 7% compound a year. That's going to accelerate as more and more and more people realize that actually they're out of balance. So, and we have a product that really works. It's a simple message. Let's test everyone. You know, we prove our product. It really is really simple. Whether you're in or you're out of balance. Some people who are out of balance still choose not to do it. It's amazing to me. Anyway, there we are. So really understand the position that you're in as someone invites you to look at what we're doing right now. This is a platform for launch into the UK. We've got 0.0001 whatever % of the UK market right now. It's not going to remain there. With the market penetration will begin to accelerate as people begin to realize that the test methodology makes a difference to their expectation of a product. And in this case, the balance oil. If you measure that against pretty much every other product that I've ever known out there in terms of omega-3, they will fail to show that they prove that they actually work. Zeno does not in that respect. So what we're going to see is that acceleration of acceptance, acceptability for this way of doing things, and it's already beginning to disrupt the landscape in terms of people's own expectation, partly because the coronavirus testing has focused people's minds on the idea that testing is a good thing and that testing can help them to get better outcomes for themselves. And right now we're in a kind of market of guess-based nutrition, you know, supplementation. Well, Zinzino is changing that idea completely with the test itself. It's saying you don't need to guess, we can show. So understand the position that you're in. The company's goals, and these are the ones that they're going to hit anyway, whether people decide to or elect to become partners or not. So this isn't so much about whether you're looking at Zinzino as whether it's got a potential. The potential is already there. What you should be looking at is whether there's something here for you and whether you can see a reason to partner with us in order to take part in what's available, because the company's all consistently saying that it's going to hit these goals. 1 million customers by 2025. Currently, nearly 300,000. Currently on the current projections, it's likely to be towards the end of 2023. So global omega-3 market is already 50 billion a year and growing. A lot of that is in the developed nations, Northwestern Europe, North America, and so on. But that's going to go on growing at that around about that 7%, as I told you. So that's another 350 million a year going onto the scale of this business every year exponentially. So there's a lot of potential here, and you've got the opportunity, because the UK is in its infancy, to set yourself up to lead into the UK market and beyond, into Europe and also into Asia. I mentioned China, mentioned India. They're slated for opening this year. Malaysia, Taiwan, Thailand, etc. They're all going to be opening in a very short period of time. In fact, around 20 countries are slated for opening between now and the end of next year. They're all available for us to be able to trade in. And if you're beginning in the UK, you will build a global business, because people know people who know others who are based in other parts of the world. So we're setting up a system here that helps people to engage in ways which takes away the heavy lift in relation to how to share the opportunity with others, how to do so in a way which creates successful outcomes with a product that does the job, that's test validated. And that's the thesis and the core, well, I guess you'd say the core values of the company itself. Let's test, test, and test. So how do you make any reward out of this? Well, we have a plan, as you would expect. It's designed to work, which it does. 600 more people or thereabouts have already qualified for the CAR program. And many of the top earners have never ever been in any kind of networking business before. So we're attracting new people into this as a business methodology. The majority of people make money, not just a few. And it's a simple plan, simple message, simple path to success. So we talk about the system. Everything we do is geared around this idea of duplication, so that you as a partner can help to bring other partners on as well as customers. And you've got a system in a way that actually helps you to duplicate that activity very straightforwardly. It's not difficult to do. It's a bit like, I always use McDonald's as the quintessential franchise model, because it's the biggest in the world. But you don't take on a McDonald's franchise and then start selling pizzas. It's not designed to do that. What this business is designed to do is to work in the way it's designed to work. It's exactly the same with McDonald's. And this franchise model, which Zinzino is in many ways, has a system behind it which works, because it's been proven again and again and again to work. So we teach people to use it because it duplicates outcome, duplicates effort, action, and therefore outcome. And the blueprint for that is the Zinzino Express success booklet. It's really the blueprint to the whole business itself. And then we have the opportunity brochure, all with support material available for people to actually essentially get themselves started in terms of the business itself. The Go Core app with the access to more than 1,000 hours of personal development audio. No other company I know of actually offers this kind of thing. And an application that sits on your phone that actually helps you to communicate directly with people with well-constructed, creative material that showcases the opportunity in the best way possible. So why choose? Timing. Really, timing. I said earlier, this is a tiny business, relatively, in relation to network marketing companies around the world, but it's going to be a billion-dollar business. There's no question about that. Because the market's right, the timing's right. The coronavirus, in many ways, has accelerated that perceptual change that's needed in our marketplace. The test works, the validation works. It's beginning to change people's minds. It's just beginning to break out of Scandinavia, which is where it started. Small number of markets in which it began, and it's proven itself there, developed the basic systems to break out from that. Everything's in place to scale up, and that's ultimately what you want. And this is the beginning of, we're at the beginning of all that. Once in a lifetime, and there's going to be this global expansion, as we talked about already. Right time, right place, right opportunity, deeply enhanced by what's been going on unfortunately going on with the coronavirus is absolutely perfect timing. So what are the steps if you decided you wanted to become involved? Well, essentially, as a business person, what we would say is there are three options, I guess. I tend not to talk about the basic ones because as a business person, I would expect someone to be looking at it from a business perspective. And financially, it makes sense to begin with the right-hand pack, which is the ultimate pack. And the reason is the bottom line. There's a full refund after 12 months, as long as you've found 25 personal subscriptions. So customers. So, you know, and that's not difficult to do in a 25-month period. It's 2 a month. Now, if you're sharing with friends and family and loved ones, if you're out of balance yourself, then you can pretty much rest assured the rest of them are going to be. However, the company, when coronavirus hit, created a new pack called the Health Protocol Partner Kit, and it carries the same offer. In other words, and it's a lower cost entry point. But in other words, if you take a Health Protocol Partner Kit or the Ultimate Kit, both of them carry the 25 customer refund after 12 months. So there's a lower entry point for people who are perhaps they don't have quite so much time, or they don't want to make quite so much commitment. But for me, when Sue and I came in, we chose an Ultimate pack because we knew how important this testing program was, and we very quickly realized the 25 customers. So how do the numbers work? Well, we are a customer-orientated business. This is about helping people to get back into balance. We have a certain number of rank improvements as we go through the program, which carry layers of profit, commission, based on the volume, the overall volume, and the numbers of customers that are created. First step within the first 30 days is to go to bronze, which is really 4 subscriptions. Now that could be you and your partner, your 2 kids and somebody else, and there you are, job done. You can do that in the first couple of days. It carries a 10% cash bonus on that, so it's £52. And the Zinzino for free. In other words, by having found 4 customers, your personal product is now free. And you get the smart £90 smart bronze bonus as long as it's done within the first 30 days. Similarly, that principle continues based on achieving these figures. So X team then is 6 more customers coming up to 10. 10% cash bonus, so that's £78, plus what's called enrollment credit bonus. And that adds up to, or in addition to that, it's £130 X-Team Express bonus, as long as this is done in the first 60 days. Then we move to what's called A-Team and the 25 customers, which I mentioned earlier. Achieving that gets you your pack back in month 13 of your partnership agreement. And so the whole pack price comes back. I don't know any other company that does that. You certainly don't get that from McDonald's. You spend £1 million on a McDonald's franchise, and after 13 months, you say, hey, here's your £1 million back. That doesn't work like that, does it? But Zinzino is so confident in what it has available, and it knows it's going to keep the customers that are created, that it's willing to do this as an incentive for those of us who wish to come into this as a business. It's also a differentiator between the idea of being in Zinzino as a partner or being in Zinzino as a customer. Because the company's very keen to have the customers, it's also keen to have the partners, but it wants to see the differentiation. And there are these extra bonuses. Now you see that the cash bonus is doubled. And you get what's called RCB, residual credit bonus, which actually opens up the remainder of the bonuses in the plan for your benefit. It's a significant hike in bonuses. And around about £85 a month. The duplication of the Zinzino for free is the fastest way to build your personal customer points and to work with the health protocol, which actually is 3 products, therefore 3 subscriptions. So it counts towards your 25 as 3 customers. So you only need 8 customers with 3 with the health protocol, in other words, the 3 products, and 1 more, so 9 customers altogether, and you've actually cracked the 25 subscriptions. So what's the step up from there? We can look to protein. You'll see rewards for finding customers, top team, rewards for finding customers. The cash bonus increases from 20 to 25 for pro team, from 25 to 30 for top team. And then this rather huge bonus kicks in, £9,000 one-time bonus paid over 25 months for having achieved 100 customers. That, again, I don't know of any other networking company that offers that potential for people who are focused upon customers. So you could be a practitioner who's got lots of customers for yourself. You're not really that interested or don't feel you're that good at the idea of becoming a business person as well, but you could find 100 customers and there's a big bonus for having done that. Top team 200, and I'll take you to 1,000 because it helps to illustrate it. You'll see also that the 30% from the top team upwards carries on at 200 and 1,000, big numbers. You also win the director trip at top team and the Z phone bonus and so on. There are other bonuses that become available as a consequence of creating purely customers. What's also important, because remember, this is a networking business, and Zeno is saying, we'd like you to find customers, yes. We'd also like you to find people who'd like to be partners, because if you do that, then there are other layers of bonuses that become available to you as well. Pardon the slide not quite fitting there, but that essentially says you. It's not you, it's you. And the 25 on the top line is the number of subscriptions you found, 25 customers. The bottom line is the bonuses, the basic bonuses that are going to accrue from having found those people and the customer points. And you'll see these bonuses built up on the left-hand side as we work through each rank improvement. So we're talking about having created Smart Bronze, X-Team Express. So those bonuses have been paid, and you see the conditions there at the bottom, 30-day program, 60-day program, and we're not quite outside it yet, although we're nearly there, but because it'll be off at the end of this month. And the company's also saying that, so okay, so we found the 25 customers, but now we'd also like you to sponsor 4 partners. There are only 2 lines of business, left and a right, although here we look at it as a Sputnik. So we've got 4 partners, A, B, C, and D. And the assumption is, in the way that this plan is illustrated, is that those people will also have found 25 each, which, with the way the system works, it's geared towards helping that to happen. And bearing in mind your sponsor, whoever that is part of a team, and their sponsor is keen to help you to achieve the things you'd like to achieve, whatever they happen to be, for yourself. And therefore, the team effort helps you to create this activity. So A, B, C, and D have done their 25 each. There's 100 now that they've found as customers, plus your 25. So we're looking at that progression on the top line. The bottom line, we're showing the rank progression and the incomes that are generated from the residual incomes from the bonuses from the customers. That takes you to fast silver, as long as that's done within the first 60 days, and it's 225 there. Now we're looking at those 4 people, A, B, C, and D, also finding their 4 with the help of the sponsorship team, upline, and so on. So that would then create 16 other people. So 4 of them finding 4, 16. That creates 4 silvers in their own right, and it ranks up again to gold. Another bonus kicks in, and another 25 each, and that takes to 500. So now we have 500 people on that top line, and we have reached a rank called executive and around £800 a month in income. Fast start executive, as long as that's done, as it says here, by the end of 31st of May. Unfortunately, for new people, we don't know what promotions are going to come very shortly, because we'll go through May and there will be another one. So this may continue, we don't know yet. But there's that much available, and in the fast start bonuses, £900. Now you'll remember that the ultimate package that I talked about earlier is slightly less than £900. So within your first 60 days, you could have created that activity by sharing with enough of the right people, with the help and guidance of the team, and actually got your money back anyway. So that's available to you to do, as long as you come out of the blocks running and with a goal in mind. So we take it this step up. You know, we're always looking at this number 4. So 16 times 4 now creates 4 executives, 25 each, 2,100 customers, 4,500 a month or thereabouts is a diamond. Now, this is changing money. You know, this is potentially the option for a lot of people to make a decision about whether they go full-time or not in Zinzino as a business. And then beyond that point, it gets more and more interesting, because by creating 4 diamonds, takes you to a position of crown, and that around about that breaks the 10,000 a month mark, thereabouts. 8,500 customers across the group, and that income is being generated by the consumption of the 8,500, which continues month in, month out. And that's the key here is subscription income. Remember, we're looking at balanced customers taking 6-month agreements, because the balance oil works over a period of time, in particular the balance oil. So you get a much more solid residual income coming. I'm not going to go any further steps. There are many more ranks above that, and of course the income continues to climb, and it becomes more solid over time based on that. The effort takes place earlier on, but as it starts to grow, then it becomes more and more solid. In order to support your effort in becoming a partner, then we've created a whole series of activities that are available for everyone to access to help you to share this message, concept, and the potential successfully with people that you'd like to invite to become partners, and indeed with the product presentations to become customers. So we set up a whole series of things that are regularly available or permanently available through replays of recorded webinars and so on, so that you've got the best opportunity to actually build momentum in your own business very quickly. And this is just an illustration of the Gmail calendar, the Google calendar that we created in order to give you access to those meetings and the resource available. Oh, sorry, I beg your pardon. I've come away from there. Let me go back to there. Just say, look, thank you so much for your time and attention tonight. My name is Nigel Booth. For those of you who've been on as guests, please talk to the person who invited you to look. They would value an honest view from your point of view about what you'd like to do, whether that's pursue this a bit further in terms of information, whether it's get started, in which case we'd welcome you with open arms, because this is a team effort without a doubt. Or indeed, if it's not for you, then to be honest enough to say that. We know it's not for everyone. However, what I would add is that this will continue, is going to happen as a consequence of the goals and aspirations and the existing track record the company's got in terms of its vision for itself, in terms of changing the world from both an income point of view and from a health point of view, and that last one in particular. So thank you everyone for joining me tonight. I hope you found it valuable. My name is Nigel Booth.